Hey guys, this is Harshita, and before we start the session, do let me know in the chat section. Am I audible to you all? Just say a quick yes, and then we'll proceed with the event. Perfect, perfect. And we got some yes. So, yes, hey guys, this is Harshita, your host for the day, and I hope you guys are doing great and staying safe. I welcome you all to yet another session to help you hone your knowledge and do better in your professional life. Today, we are discussing the power of PR and your brand story. Today's event is brought to you by Designhill, world's leading creative marketplace that caters to the creative needs of businesses and individuals alike, who can source high quality designs from professional designers and buy unique products created by the independent artists all around the world. So, moving ahead, let me introduce our speaker for the day. Today, we have with us Sally Falkow. Sally is an award winning social media strategist and coach. She has trained more than 2,500 executives at major companies like Time Warner Cable, Procter& Gamble, Hilton Hotels, and the PR agencies in the US, UK, Asia to create a digital PR and social media strategies on how to develop effective content that meets the need of the audiences at every stage of the stakeholder and the company journey or the customer journey. She takes skill, experience, and the right tools to do the research needed. She can help you find the data you need, set your goals, and map out the strategy needed to improve your content marketing results. Wow. So, thank you so much for joining us here today, Sally. How do you feel about it?
I'm very happy to be here and thank you very much for inviting me.
Great, great. We are grateful to have you too. So, guys, moving ahead, before we start the session, here's a big announcement for you all. We are giving away the certificates to all the attendees who will stick till the end of the session. So, you just cannot miss on this chance. So, stay tuned till the end. And also, you can take the screenshot of this event, put it on your Twitter with using hashtag Designhill events, tag DesignhillDH, and Sally. The Twitter handles of Sally and DH will be there in the chat section, and one lucky winner will have a chance to win a print shop gift card worth $50. So, having said that, let's quickly look at what Design Hill is all about.
Need to get your parents off your back? Head to the world's #1 creative marketplace, Designhill.
When I started my photography business, I needed something that said this was more than just a hobby. It's not a hobby, Mom. That's why I went to Designhill and got an amazing logo super fast at a price I could afford. The process was easy using Designhill's logo maker. Just enter the name of your business, then pick out a number of designs that inspire you. I'll pick this one and that one looks cute. Then pick your colors or let the system decide. Add some more info like a slogan, the industry your business is in, and your budget. The logo maker, using machine learning and artificial intelligence, will design thousands of logo variants that you can choose from and adapt. In fact, I was able to get everything from business cards to t-shirt design and complete social media kit, all with the click of a button. With that, I'm all set. Now everyone I meet knows I'm a legit photographer. Even my mom. It's real. That's decaf.
Let the world know it's real and build your brand with Designhill.
All right, guys, that was all about Design Hill, and now we are all set to start the session. So, guys, if you have anything to ask Sally, just put it in the questions tab, and I'll take your questions live. And we have also rolled out a few polls in the poll section, so you can answer them too. So, Sally, let's begin the session, and all over to you.
Thank you. So let's have the slides.
Yes.
Okay, that's not the first one.
Just a second.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and I'm really happy to be here and share some information with you. And this is the topic for today is the power of public relations and your brand story. So let's have a look at some of the things. What is public relations? Well, there are a lot of different definitions out there on the internet, but this one is from the Public Relations Society of America. Public relations is about influencing, engaging, and building a relationship with key stakeholders across numerous platforms in order to shape and frame the public perception of an organization. So let's just unpack that a little bit. When it says building relationships with key stakeholders, that is really what differentiates public relations from marketing. Marketing is more focused. Marketing is finding out what public will buy, what you have to offer, whether it's a service or a product, and figuring out what they need and want and what you need to offer them and how you can get that information to them when they're looking for something like that for that exchange. They want what you have and you're going to give it to them, and there's going to be an exchange of money or goodwill or something. And so marketing has a very specific framework. Public relations is building a relationship with key stakeholders across numerous platforms. Excuse me. So in PR, you're looking at the whole board. Your key stakeholders could be the media, your employees, your customers, your competitors, local authorities, the people who do your financing. Anyone who could have a material effect on your business is a stakeholder. So I think you can see that PR has a very broad approach. And with PR, you're supposed to be influencing, engaging, and building a relationship with these key stakeholders. And how you do it is you are doing it across numerous platforms. So if you look at that graphic, it's the internet, TV, radio, newspapers, social media, blogs. There's a whole horde of different ways that you can get your message out to reach your key stakeholders. Of course, you have to know who your key stakeholders are, and you have to know what your message is. And the whole point of doing this is to frame the public perception of an organization. And right there is your brand story. What do people think of you? How do they see you? When they hear your name or the name of your company, what is it that they immediately think about? So let's dig into this a little bit. What is it that constitutes your image? It's three things: how you look, what you say, and most importantly, what you do. Because in any relationship, it makes no difference what relationship it is. These things do apply, but they do apply particularly to your company. And just out of interest, your personal brand. You also have an image, and your personal image, if you're in business, really affects how people see your company. You know, people do business with people. They don't necessarily do business with an organization or a brand. So they are looking at the people, particularly now with such a big influence from social media. So it is how you look and it is what you say. But if how you look and what you say is one thing and then you do something completely opposite, that's going to destroy your image. You have to it's got to be consistent all the way through. So how you look, it can be your buildings, outside and inside. Are they clean? Are they dirty? Are they aesthetic? It could be your trucks. When your trucks drive down the freeway, are they clean? Do they drive erratically? Do they cut people off? And meantime, your name and your logo is very big on the side or the back of the truck, so everybody knows whose truck it is. Those kind of things are affecting your image and your brand story. So it's every single thing about your company and how you look. How do the people who work there look? How does it look inside? What kind of feeling do you get when you walk in, like with the one on the left with the lady who has a restaurant? When you go there, there's a certain look and feel to it that makes you think of her in a particular way. Now, how you look also definitely includes your stationery, your logo, your colors, how you present yourself online and offline. And this, of course, is where Designhill can help you with all these things. Because if you're starting up your own business or you have a small business, you may not have thought of this if you don't have a designer on staff or you don't have somebody who you hire to do this for you. Well, if you're going to do that, Designhill is definitely the best place to go. But if you look at this, you can see everything has been really well thought out. They've got letterheads, envelopes, even a coffee mug, pens, little data sticks, conference tabs. Everything has been completely thought out, and it all has a beautiful, consistent brand look to it. So next is going to be what you say. And this is really important because you don't really know what to do if you don't know what it is that you're going to say. This is your messaging. And this comes from your policy and procedures. And it's very hard to do public relations if you haven't already looked at these things. What is it that you're trying to achieve? What's your vision and your mission statement? What are the values of the company? Are you a purpose-driven organization? Where are you on diversity and inclusion? Very important these days. How does your communication work outside and inside? Are you doing things for sustainability and social justice? That's becoming huge at the moment. I don't know if you read a story just today or yesterday that Edelman, which is one of the biggest and well-known PR companies in the world, has just invested a huge amount of money in starting a separate part of their business to focus on companies who want to include social justice as part of their image. So how are you seen in the current political situation and the current social situation? Pardon me. What's your stance on that? How does your company perform in that area? And then community relations has always been a part of your image and what you do and how you go forward. And then you have to look at how are you presenting that in all the outside communication functions, your website, your blogs, your social media, in the news, your press releases, articles that are being posted that you're writing or other people are writing about you. If you get quoted in a news article, perhaps you're good enough to get on TV or radio. All of those things have to reflect what you've decided about your company and what your company stands for. So here you can see it needs to be consistent. What's on your website needs to be across all the platforms. It's got to look the same. The message must be clear. Every time that you put out something, that same feeling and messaging must be there consistently. So let's have a look at how you find your brand story. What is this thing called a brand story? Well, this is the DNA. It's who you are. It's like the core of what your brand and your company is all about. And sometimes in a smaller business particularly, it tends to kind of just get obscured. I've spoken to hundreds of small business owners about the idea of having a brand story, and many of them say, we don't have that. We're just a whatever it is. We're a hairdresser, we're a concrete cutter, we're a small health practice. We just do what we do. We don't have a brand story. Yes, actually, you do have a brand story. You might not think it, but you absolutely do. because every single time that you have an interaction with somebody, it's going to have an effect on how people see you and what they think about you. So everything that you say should be consistent with your brand story. That means you have to know what it is. Now, in the what you do part, every interaction with a member of the public, whether they're a customer or not a customer, is what we call a moment of truth. What does that mean? Well, if you go into a cafe and you go for you're just going in for a quick cup of coffee, okay? You haven't ever been there before, and you go in and you get bad service and the place is a little bit dirty. What are you going to think? Are you going to love being there? Or are you going to go, no, I don't think I like this place? And you know what's likely to happen? You're going to tell somebody else. Oh, I went into that cafe today and I was like, oh, it was a horrible experience. Gee, the guy was so rude to me. I waited for hours and then there was no sugar and the floor was dirty. And I was like, I'm never going back there again. Every time you have any interaction with a member of the public, it's a moment of truth. And that is going to affect how they see you and how they tell your brand story. So the storytelling also includes a lot of different things. You have to know what it is, and then you have to figure out how you're going to get it to the right people at the right time. So first of all, you have to discover what your brand story is. And as I said earlier, every single company does have a story. It might not be real or easy for you to see it, because, you know, when we're very close to something, we often don't see it at all. So it can take a little bit of looking, or it can take someone from the outside to have a look at what's going on in your company and be able to say, oh, have a look at this. Every time this happens, somebody has a really good comment to make about it, and it's consistently that comment. And that can lead you to your brand story. So again, remember this list. Who are you? What is it that you do? Why are you doing it? Why did you start this business? What is it that you're trying to achieve ultimately? Yes, you want a business that makes money and pays the bills, fine. But most companies had some kind of an idea, a mission of why they wanted to do it. So what is it that you do that's different and unique? Start listening to what your customers are saying and other vendors, people who hire you if you're in a business-to-business environment. And just listen for this consistent comment about why what they think about you. So another way you can do it is you can listen online. And there are many tools that you can use. The one that I like the most is called Sendable, sendable.com. And they actually started off as an email provider, but they've grown into one of the best social media management tools that I have found. And you can use them to listen to what's being said about your company, your brand, your competitors, and you will find out the most amazing things that you'd never thought of if you start just tapping in to the online conversations. You can do surveys, and you can even ask your employees, why do you work here? What do you think is good about this company? What have you heard from customers and other people? What do other people that you know say about our company? Every moment of truth results in the story that they're going to tell about you and your company. So you have to drill this into everyone in the company. From the moment that someone walks in the door, the first person they see, the first person they talk to, the receptionist on the telephone, if you have still a live person in this day and age where we only hear, hello, thank you so much for calling. But there are just so many moments, and you need to kind of do an audit of all these things, of when somebody has an interaction with your company, what experience are they having? And don't ever let somebody else tell your story. I don't know if you're all old enough to remember this. It happened about 10 years ago. It was an ad that said, "Hi, I'm a PC. Hi, I'm a Mac." And it was a really big, successful ad campaign. And it was done by Apple to promote Mac computers. And they did a really good positioning. You can see a definite difference between these two guys. "Hi, I'm a PC." He's kind of very conservative, geeky, nerdy guy. And "Hi, I'm a Mac." Well, I'm a cool designer type of guy. Okay, so immediately you look at it and you see what they wanted you to see. But it's Mac that's telling this story, and it's not very complimentary to PCs. So guess what happened? Microsoft started trying to fight back against this campaign because it was a competitor. Well, they're not actually even a competitor, which is the stupid part. Microsoft doesn't make PCs, but it ended up being a Mac versus Microsoft story. And now someone else is telling a brand story about Microsoft, and Microsoft doesn't even make PCs. It's just like, if you look at it logically, it's ridiculous, but that's what happened. They created a situation where someone else was telling their story. And then you got this kind of thing of trying to fight back, of PC users doing weird and wonderful things like diving with the sharks with a little sign up that says, "I'm a PC, and I'm not really little nerdy stupid me." But you see what they had to go to. It's like you have to go to a whole extra thing of now handling a reputation problem that wasn't there if you don't take control of your brand story and you allow someone else to start telling a story that you didn't want. So here's another one. This is Subway. And this is their brand statement: "Delight every customer so they want to tell their friends, with great value through fresh, delicious, made-to-order sandwiches and an exceptional experience." And they were doing really well. They had overtaken McDonald's in America as the biggest fast food restaurant chain. So their growth has been incredible. And then we run into this. Is Subway's bread actually bread? And because there was a 1972 law that said how much sugar was allowed to be in bread, and they had exceeded that, there were all these articles in the newspaper about how Subway's bread is definitely not healthy. In fact, by definition, it's not even bread. So now someone else, again, has hijacked their story of how they make wonderful, healthy, fresh, delicious food, and you're getting this other brand story that's being told in the news. And now they have to start fighting back. So what have they been doing? They've launched a whole Eat Fresh refresh. And they're using celebrities and entertainers and sports people, but they had to do this because they're actually, their brand message is being attacked. So let's look at it from a different angle. This is a small local company. They're in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's a privately owned. Nichols Concrete Cutting is the company. And when you think about concrete cutting, I guess this is the kind of thing you think about. They do very uninteresting things. They cut holes in walls. And that's exactly what he said to me when I wanted to ask him about his brand story. I said, "What do you do, Phil?" "Oh, we cut holes in walls. We're very boring." I said, okay, well, let's just start looking at what are some of the biggest stories that biggest accounts or projects that you've done. What have you done that's interesting? So he started to tell me, and I started looking through all their invoices and books and who their clients were and what kind of work they'd done. And I discovered he's done some really interesting things. Yes, he does a lot of like this bread and butter, just cutting stuff, but he's also done some amazing, amazing work. This is the original quad at Stanford University in Palo Alto. It's one of the most prestigious universities in America. These buildings are very old. And I don't know if you know, but that area of California, all the way up the West Coast, they have a lot of earthquakes. So the university was concerned that if there did come another big earthquake, it could damage these buildings beyond repair. So they put out a contract for somebody to do what is called seismic retrofitting. And what that does is it strengthens the buildings so that if there was an earthquake, it wouldn't fall down. But if you look at these things, you can see this is not going to be an easy job. These are curved, they're little pillars, they're old. It's made of local sandstone, which is quite soft. And so it took them a long time to find somebody who said they could do this. And they hired Nichols Concrete Cutting because he came up with a way to do this that nobody else had thought of. And it was very time consuming. Excuse me. They had to take all the stones out on the back of the pillars, they number them all, put them all down, and so they knew where they were. And then he got inside those pillars, and with a special drill, he drilled all the way down. And then they had to put the concrete and the rebar and everything in there to strengthen it, and then put all the back of it back so that it looked like no one had ever touched it. You walk through that quad now, you would never, ever know that anyone had done anything. It looks like it did originally. It's a miracle. And when I spoke to the contractor that hired Nichols, I said, why did you pick him? And they said, because he's an absolute artist. Nobody else would have been able to do this. And every other really big job, apart from just the little ones where he was cutting holes in walls, any of these big contracts that he did, that was the comment that I was getting. This man is an artist. He is incredible. He is so talented at what he does. I mean, how do you talk about someone who cuts holes in walls as talented? It seems weird. But that was his brand story, that he can figure out anything. Another one that he did, I don't have a picture of it here, but there was a penthouse on top of a building in San Francisco. It was owned by a very wealthy man, and he wanted the wall, the concrete wall on the patio to be taken down and a railing put up because that wall was blocking his view of the Golden Gate Bridge. But now he's like 20, 30 stories up, and nobody wanted to touch it because they said, this is crazy. We could fall off there. And cutting concrete is a messy business. You know, when they cut the concrete, the steel gets really hot. They have to run water on it all the time. And now we're tracking with workmen through this incredible $1 million penthouse with all this art and Persian rugs and whatnot. So all the other guys just went, no, not me. Phil looked at it and said, I think I can do this. And he did it, and everyone was like brilliantly happy with him. You speak to the owner of that penthouse, why did you hire Phil? Because he's amazing. He's incredible. Nobody else could have done this. He's an artist. So right there is the brand story. He was most recently hired to do this, which is just amazing. This is an enormous statue in San Francisco of St. Francis, and they needed to move it. The city is moving it because they're doing something with this park. So he came and they excavated the whole thing at the bottom here and then cut this concrete really carefully without damaging this amazing statue. and then lifted it on a crane and took it out. Who else could have done that? There's nobody else that could do that. It's just, that's his thing. And when he had never had any media attention when I started working with him. The first one that we did was that one of Stanford's quad. Because Stanford is such a big thing in that area, and the fact that it was all done kind of on the quiet, nobody knew that it had been done. It was something new, it was something interesting, it was something the whole area was really fascinated by. And it got a ton of news coverage. The one with the penthouse also got a lot of news coverage, and so did this one, because it's a really big, well-known thing in San Francisco. So, you know, when you do something amazing and different and unique, people pay attention. This is another small business. They're local here in Florida, and the company teaches a thing called nutrition response testing, which is a health protocol, which was discovered by this man, Dr. Freddie Ulan. And his purpose is to train and support a large group of dedicated alternative health practitioners who are committed to changing the healthcare paradigm in America. So that's their story. So they're basing this on the fact that there is such an interest, again, in the fact that nutrition can change your health. And there have been statements from really amazing scientists showing that 95% of all disease actually could be prevented if you had good nutrition. And his statement is, when you give the body the exact nutrients it needs, it can start to heal itself. So that's kind of the messaging that they use. This is their site for the public. It's just nutritionresponsetesting.com. Here's one of their posts on their Facebook page. You see it was seen by more than 9,000 people and got 1,000 engagements, comments, and shares. But you can see that it has the look and it has the same message. This was the last month's cover, because it was Make a Difference to Children on their Facebook page. They change it every month. They've started another service called Nutrition Coaching, and this is a Facebook group for nutrition coaches. And this is on the other Facebook page, which is for practitioners. And here again, you see common purpose to change the paradigm. Where's my little thing? There it is. Okay. They've been doing a lot of free content and free ebooks and getting really, really good responses from them. And here you can see they had an article in Chiropractic Economics, Why Healthcare Practitioners Need Business Management Skills. And this was a webinar with an interview with Dr. Ulan on keeping the purpose for changing the paradigm. This was for their practitioners. So you can see that they've kept the look, the feel, the message is very consistent. This is another Facebook page where they post success stories from people who have used the system. Okay, and one other I hadn't put in here, but they also have a podcast called Nutrition Factors. And so this just gives you an idea of different ways that you can find a story within even a very small local business, how you can use it, how you can look into what you've been doing and figure out how this is affecting your image and the perception that people have of you, and figure out what your brand story is so that you take control of it. You tell the story, and don't get into the situation where you go, oh, we don't have a brand story, and suddenly find you're on the back foot and someone else is telling a brand story about you, and you've got to scramble to try and handle that and get it back to what you intended for people to think about your company. And just remember, going back to the first slides about what is public relations, that it's what you're trying to do is engage and influence all these different stakeholders across many different platforms. So this one on the nutrition response testing, I think, gives you a really good idea of engaging a lot of different stakeholders. They're engaging healthcare practitioners that have already trained with them, healthcare practitioners who haven't and might be interested in using nutrition in their practice, the public, and who are now becoming, particularly since COVID, they're realizing that eating junk food is not helping their health, and they need to boost their immune system by eating better quality products, and that they actually could reverse a health condition just by eating better. And then they've started a new stakeholder group called nutrition coaches. So those are not people who are doctors or chiropractors or whatever. They could be anybody. They don't need to have any kind of certificate or qualification. They can do the nutrition coaching course and just start a business doing nutrition coaching. So that's a whole nother stakeholder group. And then with this one, they're showing what, from all their practitioners, the success stories of how they're dealing with patients. So then it reaches other people that are interested. So there's just this vast, all these different kinds of stakeholders. Also showing you with the chiropractic economics, that's the press for chiropractors. They've also had press, just normal press for the public, because showing about the nutrition. They have a blog, they have a podcast, and they're using all these different platforms to reach their stakeholders and tell their brand story. And it does have an incredible effect. On one of the other definitions that I like a lot of public relations, the last sentence says, the purpose of public relations is to create a favorable operating climate in which the business can expand, prosper, and be viable. Now, the purpose, or the kind of the goal of the owner of a business, is to have a viable and expanding company. Every business owner wants that. So if public relations purpose is to provide the kind of environment in which your business can prosper, grow, and expand, that's really important. And it's this idea of creating the brand story and telling it and influencing all these stakeholders across all these platforms. That is what creates this favorable business environment for you to be able to grow and prosper. So that's the story of what PR is and why the brand story is so really, really important.
Well,
Okay,
this
so
was
let's go to questions, perhaps.
yes, definitely. But before we move ahead with the questions, I must say that was a really insightful presentation, and I hope you guys loved the session. And on that note, we'll take a quick mid-roll of 1 minute, and we'll be right back, and then we'll move ahead with the questions. So guys, if you have any questions, I can see many of them in the questions tab already. But if you do have, then we'll take up from there. Do put your questions in the questions tab.
Claremax is a full-service video agency around video production. We created a brand that fit our identity at the time, but as we've evolved as a company, we found that original brand didn't quite fit our aspirations anymore. Finding a partner to rebrand your entire company takes a lot of time and effort. Finding Designhill was an incredible lifeline. Designhill offers a money-back guarantee. If we don't like any of the designs, we get all of our money back. The stuff that we ended up with were well beyond what we had been seeing on other creative services platforms. After creating a simple design brief by answering some questions created by Designhill, we posted, and within a few days, we had over 250 entries. Designhill's platform made it easy to communicate with all of the potential designers. Eventually, we picked a winner. In addition to a logo, our designer also created a letterhead, business cards, and banners for all of our social media platforms. With Designhill's help, we now have a brand that meets our aspirations. We're ready for the future and everything that it's here to bring.
All right, guys, we are back again with our guest, Sally. And here's your first question, Sally. It's from Alyssa. And she's asking, if a supplier is asking you for your PR plans, are they expecting them to be included in that? Or it is just about my company and about the image I portray? Callie, you are on mute.
I'm not sure why a supplier would want to know your PR strategy and your PR plans. Unless they're wanting to know for their product, like what are you going to do for them? If that's the case, then I guess they want to know if they should supply you and how you're going to go forward to promote their products and brands. So I think that would be fair enough if they're supplying you with something that you are reselling.
Great, great. So I hope, Alyssa, your question got answered. So up next we have, in the digital era, are promotions in conventional media such as television, radio, and newspapers still relevant?
Yes, absolutely. They are always relevant. They may be not as relevant as they used to be because they don't have as much of an audience as they used to have. The internet has really eaten into traditional media. More than a third of the journalists here in America have been laid off from their jobs because those traditional media companies don't have the advertising money anymore to run their newsrooms. It's very sad. But they are still, I mean, if you get an article in the major newspaper in your area, like here, for business, it would be like the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal. Of course it does. It carries a lot of weight. But you have to look at it also from another viewpoint. If you have someone who says, oh, we got mentioned in the Wall Street Journal and they have a readership of, I don't even know what it is today, say 5 million people. Well, yes, but did all of those 5 million read that page on which you were mentioned? You have no idea. And when they did, if they did, were they interested? So if you look at other digital things, you can get a better targeted result. But they are still definitely, they carry weight, they have authority.
Great. So I hope your question got answered. And up next, we have a question from Sama. She is asking, how can current social, political, and economic causes be fully incorporated throughout a business? Is a social media campaign always effective?
Well, the thing is, it can't just be done on social media. If you're going to address social, political, and economic causes, you have to really be doing something about it. You can post things for your support or your position on social media, but unless it's really a part of your company and what you do and what you believe in, it's not. Sooner or later, someone's going to say, this is a bit surface. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, we did. And I was just trying to find out the next question. So I hope, Sama, your question got answered. And up next, we have a question from Kesha. And she's asking, what is the best way to present your company in a competitive market? especially if you have a limited funds as a small business owner?
Well, I would say the best thing to do is to look at all your competition and look at what you're doing and see if you can find something that stands out. What is it about you that makes you different from all those other competitors? What can they get from you, even if it's only better service? If it's that competitive in the product, there may be something about the way that you do it that makes it different, and lean on that. One of the things that I have found that works extremely well is to deliver extra service, like go the extra mile. To give you just an example, with that nutrition company I was talking about earlier, they had an in-person training session a couple of weeks ago, and a man and his wife came down. He's a chiropractor, she's an acupuncturist. And on the way, he twisted his knee and had a really painful knee. And the normal handling for it would have been that she would give him an acupuncture treatment. But because they were coming for training, she never thought about needing it, and she didn't bring her acupuncture kit and her needles with her. One of the trainers went out and found somebody in our little town who does acupuncture, and went and purchased a set of needles for her and brought it to them so that she could treat her husband. They didn't have to do that, but it was just like being aware of what's going on around you, being aware of the needs of your customers, even if it's not a need for your product at that minute, and providing that incredible care that shows the customer that you really care about them. That can make you totally stand out. The rest of it is finding your brand story and just consistently telling it with excellent content.
Great. That was an amazing insight from you, Sally. And up next, we are getting so many questions. So next question we have from Carissa, and she is asking, should a company have a different social media account for their PR activities, or should it be featured on their official accounts? Which one is more effective?
Oh no, you should just have one. It's the company one. But it should be run to a large degree by the PR of the company, because they should be overseeing this consistent messaging. Unless you're in a company that's really, really, really big and your PR is so big in itself, you have a whole corporate social responsibility program, like Time Warner Cable has a STEM project for science, technology, education, and math. It's like a whole company on its own. So they do have social media accounts for that. But most companies, especially smaller companies, it's just your company social media account. Like I showed you with the nutrition one. They do have two, but the reason they have that is because they have two very different publics. They've got a public of healthcare practitioners who want to see a particular type of content about how to use this technique to help their patients. And they have the public who would be interested in why nutrition can help them. They're not going to be interested in the same content. So in that situation, you have two.
Great. So yeah, based on the target audiences we have.
Right.
Okay, great. So next question we have from Iza, and he is asking how to stand out as a brand before the start of a brand story, a startup maybe.
Well, you need to figure out that brand story from day one before someone else jumps on the bandwagon and tells your story for you. Before you even do as a startup, you should know all those things. What is my purpose? What is my vision? What are my values? Why am I doing this? Why am I starting this business? What is it that I want to achieve? What am I going to stand for? How am I going to look? When you start as a startup, you need all that brand material You need a logo. You need to show people who you are and what you look like. And you have to know what it is that you're going to say, and then you have to get out there and start doing it. So you can't really, the minute you start a business, that's the minute that your brand story starts.
Yes, absolutely. So, guys, if you have any more questions, don't forget to ask in the questions tab. And up next, we have a question from Nadia, and she's asking, is the PR for non-profit is same as a for-profit?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Even more important. For non-profits, you must know what your brand story is, and you must tell it consistently, because you're supposed to be out there doing something for good as a non-profit generally. And if you don't have a message, and it's not what you say and what you do is not consistent, it's going to cause a big problem.
Okay, great. So, next question is from Tiffany, and she's asking, operating an electricity or water utility company, for example, do you think it is honest or effective PR by having separate social media pages for your everyday information and another specifically for outrages that would otherwise affect your company image?
Well, we have a really good electricity company here. They put up outages on their website, and they do put notices on their social media, and they also have a text service. Whenever there's an outage, I get a text on my phone saying, we're sorry to tell you that we have an outage in this area, and we expect it to be put right by 10 o'clock, whatever. And I must say they're incredibly good. They're usually before even the time. And that does make a difference. Instead of leaving us literally and figuratively in the dark, if I'm sitting there going, oh God, I have no lights and I have no internet and I don't know how to get hold of them, it's very good PR to consistently, go back to the definition, to influence and engage all your publics. So it's there's nothing wrong. I don't see anything dishonest. I don't know why you would want a separate social media though. I think it would be fine just to have your social media, and if there is an outage, just put up the notice saying, we have an outage in this area and we're working hard to fix it. And then when it's fixed, say, okay, we're done with that and everything is back to normal. It shows people that you're doing what you say you're doing.
Yes, that's really great. And yes, we have also started getting the same information from our electricity department about the notification of the timing of the outrage. So yeah, that's really great. People are mentally prepared about the things to be got ready and when is the electricity coming. Great. So up next, we have a question from one of our registrants. It's what is the correct time and stage for a business to start indulging and investing in branding and PR efforts?
Just say it again.
I'll just put it in the chat section for you and read out loud for our attendees too, so that it's easier for you.
Where would I see it?
Yes, you can see in the chat section.
What do you mean by the tab section?
The chat section, it's just at the right hand side of your screen. Can you check it?
I'm in the questions section.
Just tap on the chat section once.
Chat. Okay.
It's just beside the question one.
What is the correct time and stage for a business to start indulging and investing? It's not indulging. When you have branding, is vital, not an indulgence. Yeah, well, honestly, I really believe, as I said in the earlier question, from the minute that you decide to have a business and you decide to start, one of the very first things you're going to have to do, once you've done your business plan and you know what it is that you want to do, you have to have this branding and design and the logo and any signage and the banners for your social media so that it's all consistent and has the correct look and feel. Honestly, this is not an indulgence. It's something you must do. Some years ago in Los Angeles, I spoke at the LA Tech Investors Conference, and I was the social media marketing person on the panel. Everybody else was investors. And all of those investors said, one for one, if you don't have a marketing plan and you can't show me how you're going to build this business and what your plan is to grow the business with marketing and PR, I'm not putting my money in your business. That has to come first. You have to have the idea. You have to have the ability to put it there, to actually establish it so that it can start. But right after that, I don't know if you've ever looked at like the flow line of how a business goes. And that is the sequence. You get an idea, you have to do the whole piloting of it, figuring it out. Is it going to work? Testing things. Okay, now I've got it. I know how it's going to go. I am going to do it. I'm starting it. The next thing it goes straight into is establishment. So now it's like, where am I going to do it? What do I need? Do I need a place? Do I need machines? Do I need people? Do I need computers? And you actually put it there so that it can operate. But the thing that comes right after that in an organizational chart is marketing and PR. Because, you know, there's this old saying that if you invent a better mousetrap, people will just beat a path to your door. Well, that's not actually true. What if they didn't want a mousetrap? What if they didn't have a mouse problem? What if they don't know where your door is? What if they never heard of you? Then nobody's coming to your door. So you could have started the most perfect business in the world. But if you don't have that branding and PR, it's going to be a real struggle.
Great. That was a bang on answer. So up next we have a question, and it's not actually a question. It's just about knowing about the brand positioning via effective storytelling. So could you please throw some light on it, like any experiences or any anecdotes
Say it
about
again to me.
about the brand positioning via effective storytelling? So if you have any experience or any anecdotes on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ones that I've told you about definitely apply. Your brand positioning it comes from storytelling. And you have to know what that story is, and you have to tell it again and again and again in different ways, but be very consistent. Your brand positioning will come from constant storytelling. That's how you know what this brand is and what they do and why they're there. That is your position.
Great, great. So next and the last question for our today's session is, and it's right there in your chat section, Sally, and it's we hear people saying about the any publicity is a good publicity. So there would be things that are ethically not right, but to do and are still done for it may have a high chances to grab a eyeballs. So what is your take on such practices?
Well, you better look at your values and your mission and your purpose. Does it say anywhere in there, I'll do anything under any circumstances? I don't care what it is. Because if that is in your mission and your values, I don't think I want to do business with you. You know, there have been times when this has been done, and yes, you can get lots of eyeballs. Do you ever hear the thing of like negative attention? That's the thing you don't want. You need positive attention, because good things flow towards positive attention. Negative attention repels things. I've got hundreds of stories of people that have got involved in things for the wrong reasons, and they've got lots of attention, but they didn't like what happened after.
So we should definitely not follow this slogan or the saying, which is any publicity is a good publicity.
No,
And
definitely not. No,
great.
absolutely not. If your brand, I mean, it'd just be absolutely extreme. If somebody in your company is in the news for something really bad, we had here in America a little while ago a big scandal with some people who had paid for their kids to get into college. And it was all over the newspapers. I had one of those guys who came to me to try and fix the reputation problems that had come about for his company as a result. It wasn't his company, it was him. He did it. But every time it was mentioned, it was Mr. Joe Smith of company name was involved in this, and he did this, and now there's a big scandal, and now they're in court, and blah, blah. And now there's another article and another article, and every one of them mentioned the name of the company. And so, it took a lot of effort to clean that up.
Yes. And on that note, guys, this brings us to the end of this wonderful session with Sally. And this was indeed a value packed session, although we could have covered a lot more and learned a lot more. But unfortunately, we are limited by time here. So I hope you guys loved the session because I personally did. And once again, I would like to thank Sally for taking out the time and being the part of this event. So, Sally, any last words, any last thoughts?
Yeah, one that I didn't put up was my blog. It's very easy, proactivereport.com. And then they could go there and read more. And I have a YouTube channel with video. I haven't put up a new video for ages, but there's lots of good videos there. So
Great. So all the links will be there in the chat section in a while, guys. You can find them there. And if not, just connect with Sally. We have already shared her LinkedIn profile and her Twitter profile and everything. So you can just connect with her and get to gain the knowledge, everything you want from there.
yeah.
So, all right, guys, this brings us to the end of the session, and this is not where it ends. We have a lot more events lined up for you all in the coming days. So, if you guys are interested and haven't registered yet, there's the events page link in the chat section. You can just subscribe to the events page and get the updated events of all the events coming up. And up next, also we have launched a Learn page to feed your inspiration and creativity. Multiply your business and creative growth 10 times by learning the tips, hacks, growth stories, great advice, expert advice from the industry's best. You can visit our Design Her Learn page and subscribe them too. You can all again find the link in the chat section. And on that note, I would like to say bye to everyone who has joined us here today. Take care, guys. Stay safe.